Chosen one, listen carefully, because this is not encouragement, and this is not coincidence. This is confirmation. If you are hearing this message now, it means the phase that nearly broke you has ended. The pressure, the silence, the unexplained delays, the losses that made no sense, the moments where you questioned everything except Allah, all of it was a test, and by His mercy, you passed. Not everyone makes it this far. Many fall apart when clarity is withheld, but you remained standing even when you were confused, wounded, and alone. Now Allah is lifting the veil. This is the moment where the silence speaks, where the pain reveals its purpose, and where Allah allows His chosen servant to understand what others never will. Breathe deeply, steady your heart, and prepare yourself, because once you pass the test, Allah doesn't motivate you anymore. He informs you, chosen one, understand this with depth and sincerity. The silence you endured was never emptiness, neglect, or delay. It was the examination itself, designed by Allah with precise wisdom. When doors closed without explanation, when prayers seemed unanswered on the surface, when people who once spoke loudly in your life suddenly disappeared, Allah was not ignoring you. He was observing you. Silence strips away performance and reveals truth. In that quiet season, there was no applause to motivate you, no reassurance to comfort you, and no visible reward to keep you moving forward. Only your iman, your intentions, and your private relationship with Allah. Many can worship when blessings are loud, but very few remain loyal when Allah speaks through stillness. You were tested on whether you would complain or remain grateful, whether you would seek validation from creation or rely fully on the Creator, whether you would rush ahead in impatience or submit to divine timing with humility. Every moment you chose restraint over reaction, prayer over panic, and trust over doubt. You were passing the test without realizing it. Allah watched how you guarded your tongue when you were misunderstood, how you protected your heart from bitterness when you were excluded, and how you continued to do good even when no one acknowledged it. That silence refined you, sharpened your spiritual hearing, and taught you to recognize Allah's presence without signs or signals. And because you remained sincere when nothing made sense, Allah now counts you among those who are trusted with clarity, because only a servant who remains faithful in silence is worthy of being spoken to when the truth is finally revealed. Chosen one, understand this truth deeply and without doubt. Your delay was not rejection, denial, or punishment. It was evidence of trust from Allah. When Allah intends to give a servant something light, He may give it quickly, but when He intends to give something heavy in responsibility, lasting in impact, and sacred in consequence, He slows the process with divine precision. You were delayed because what is being prepared for you requires emotional discipline, spiritual maturity, and a heart that will not be corrupted by power, praise, or provision. Allah watched how you handled frustration when timelines collapsed, how you guarded your faith when nothing moved forward, and how you continued to obey Him without visible progress. Many people are rushed into blessings they are not ready to protect, but Allah refused to place you in a position that could damage your soul or distract you from Him. Instead, He trained you through patience, taught you through restraint, and refined you through repetition, knowing that a trusted servant will not abandon Allah in the waiting. Every postponed opportunity, every closed door, and every slow season was shaping your discernment, strengthening your reliance on Allah, and removing impatience from your character. You were being trusted not just with what you will receive, but with how you will carry it quietly, humbly, and responsibly. And now, because you remained consistent without shortcuts and faithful without guarantees, Allah considers you ready for what others begged for too early and lost just as fast. Chosen one, recognize this with clarity and submission. The pain you endured was never sent to destroy you, humiliate you, or reduce your worth. It was sent to empty you of what could not walk with you into your next level with Allah. Before Allah fills a vessel, He purifies it, and before He elevates a servant, He removes attachments that would weigh the soul down. The heartbreaks, the betrayals, the disappointments, and the sudden losses were not random events. They were divine extractions. Allah was gently and sometimes painfully removing reliance on people, outcomes, status, and expectations that had quietly taken space in your heart, meant only for Him. Through pain, Allah taught you how to survive without what you once believed was essential, how to stand when support vanished, and how to turn directly to Him without intermediaries. Each wound stripped away illusion, each tear softened your heart, and each moment of despair deepened your sincerity until you were no longer driven by fear of loss or hunger for approval. You were being emptied of ego, entitlement, emotional dependence, and false security so that what remains is a heart that trusts Allah completely, even when the road is unclear. And now that you are lighter, detached, and inwardly free, Allah can fill you with wisdom, stability, purpose, and a form of strength that is not loud but unshakable, because what is empty for Allah alone is never weak. It is prepared. Chosen one, this lesson carries immense weight because it marks the line between those who survive life's trials and those who transcend them, the line between temporary endurance and permanent elevation, because here is where most people collapse without even realizing it. You were exposed to pain of such intensity, betrayal so profound, injustice so blatant, and suffering so relentless that it could have easily deformed your character, twisted your morals, and disconnected you from Allah's guidance, yet you refused to allow suffering to dictate who you would become. You were dismissed when you deserved honor, undermined when you deserved support, attacked when you deserved respect, and judged when only Allah could truly see your heart. Yet through it all, you maintained your integrity, refused to mirror harm, and consciously chose to remain aligned with Allah's standards rather than the reactive impulses of the world. Pain, as intense as it was, always presents a dangerous shortcut. It tempts the heart to justify corruption, to normalize bitterness, to accept vengeance, and to shelter anger as though it were loyalty to oneself. Many succumb to this trap. They allow cruelty to breed cruelty, humiliation to breed arrogance, deceit to breed manipulation, abandonment to breed emotional numbness, but you did not. Your resistance was not accidental. It was protection, preservation, and refinement orchestrated by Allah for a heart He intended to trust with weighty responsibility. Every surge of anger you suppressed, every whisper of bitterness you denied entry, every moment you were tempted to repay harm with harm but instead chose patience, humility, or silence, was recorded as a victory unseen by others, but witnessed intimately by Allah. You did not allow injustice to turn you unjust, nor betrayal to make you treacherous, nor rejection to foster resentment. You separated the external wounds from the essence of who you are, and that discernment is what placed you among the rare few. Allah observed how you guarded your tongue when falsehood spread about you, how you refused to retaliate in kind when your character was assaulted, how you endured in silence when explanation would have been easier, and how you preserved your heart's softness even when the world attempted to harden it. You understood that bitterness is a gift to those who inflicted pain because it allows them to inhabit your heart rent-free, and you refused to grant them that power. Instead, you turned your anguish to Allah in private, pouring your heart into Him alone, trusting His justice, and allowing your faith to act as a shield against the poison of resentment. This is why, despite the trials, your heart did not rot in despair. Your iman did not collapse under the weight of unseen tests, and your soul retained its ability to feel, to love, and to remain compassionate, even in the presence of unrelenting adversity. Allah was testing whether the pain would lower you to the level of those who hurt you, or whether it would elevate you beyond them, and you chose elevation, even when it cost you emotionally, even when the temptation to respond in anger or bitterness was strong. You refused to excuse sin because you were wounded, refused to justify disobedience because you were exhausted, refused to act with pride merely because you had the strength to assert yourself. You remained principled when compromise would have been easier, merciful when retaliation seemed justified, and humble when ego demanded recognition. That conscious choice to protect your soul and adhere to divine standards purified you in ways comfort could never achieve. You emerged with integrity intact, conscience alive, compassion preserved, and connection to Allah strengthened beyond measure. And understand this with the depth it deserves. When Allah witnesses a servant whose heart remains undefiled by suffering, He recognizes someone worthy of trust, honor, and influence, someone whose light cannot be extinguished, whose presence carries weight, and whose soul is prepared to carry responsibilities beyond the reach of ordinary hearts. You passed not because you avoided hardship, but because hardship failed to corrupt you. You endured not to survive, but to ascend. You resisted not merely to maintain dignity, but to demonstrate unwavering alignment with divine wisdom. And now, chosen one, your victory is not visible to all, but it is monumental in the eyes of the one who created you, protected you, and entrusted you with a heart capable of withstanding what most could not, because a servant who refuses to become what hurt them becomes a living testament to Allah's mercy, His justice, and His ability to refine the soul into a vessel worthy of carrying light into the world. You are that vessel, and your triumph lies in your refusal to be defined or diminished by the very trials that were meant to test, shape, and ultimately elevate you. Chosen one, listen carefully, because this is one of the deepest secrets Allah reveals only to those whose hearts have been refined through trial, whose patience has been tested beyond what the world could understand, and whose souls have remained steadfast when everything around them seemed to crumble. The separation you experienced, the sudden absence of people you trusted, the breaking of bonds you thought unbreakable, the ending of relationships that once felt permanent, was never a punishment, nor a mistake, nor a rejection. It was a deliberate, precise act of divine protection orchestrated by Allah to safeguard your heart, your purpose, and your destiny in ways that your limited vision could not perceive at the time. Every person who left your life, every door that closed without warning, every support that vanished in your moment of need was part of a divine plan to shield you from what you could not yet see, from forces that would have harmed your journey, corrupted your focus, or misaligned you with the mission Allah has prepared for you. Some separations felt harsh, cruel, or unjust, and your heart may have screamed for explanations, but these very absences were purifying you, removing what was never meant to accompany your destiny and making space for what was divinely aligned. Imagine if those whose hearts were poisoned by envy, jealousy, or selfishness had remained close. Imagine if those who feared your rise had continued to influence your choices. Imagine if those who were ill-intentioned had remained in positions of influence over your life. Your spiritual path would have been obstructed, your clarity clouded, and your blessings delayed. What seemed like abandonment was actually a shield, a protective barrier forming around your soul to preserve your light. In the void, in the quiet, and in the isolation, Allah allowed your spirit to recalibrate. You learned to discern between what is temporary and eternal, between genuine loyalty and convenient companionship, between hearts aligned with divine will and those motivated by worldly selfishness. You learn to carry your burdens silently, to derive strength from solitude, and to seek fulfillment only in Allah rather than in transient human presence. The absence of those you thought indispensable cultivated patience, deepened reliance on Allah, and refined your spiritual vision so that when new connections enter your life, they arrive aligned with your purpose, spiritually nourishing, and capable of supporting your elevation without draining or distorting your journey. Every separation became a lesson in trust. Trust in Allah's timing, trust in His wisdom, and trust that what leaves your life is making space for what He intends to bring in. You came to recognize that not everyone can walk with you toward your destiny, that some hearts are not prepared for the path you are on, and that some people, even if close for a season, are not meant to witness your rise. This realization, though painful, became your armor. It strengthened your discernment, sharpened your focus, and fortified your ability to navigate relationships without fear, manipulation, or distraction. Separation taught you the value of quality over quantity, loyalty over familiarity, and divine alignment over worldly convenience. It showed you that those who truly belong will return in their right time, under Allah's guidance, while those whose paths were never meant to intersect with your journey are removed permanently, leaving you lighter, safer, and more intentionally positioned for what lies ahead. Now, having endured this purification, you can move forward without clinging, without regret, and without doubt, because Allah's protection was always active, His wisdom always operational, and His love continuously shaping your destiny, even when the reasoning was invisible to you. What once felt like loss is now your liberation. What once hurt you is now the divine mechanism that secures your path, ensuring that every step you take aligns with His perfect plan. This is the profound secret of divine separation. Allah removes from your life not to punish, not to harm, but to prepare, fortify, and position you exactly where you need to be, to fulfill the destiny that only He knows, and only He can entrust to a servant who has endured with unwavering faith, patience perfected, and complete reliance on Him. And understand this further, chosen one. Every period of isolation was shaping your spiritual resilience, teaching you to find peace in stillness, to see divine presence in absence, and to recognize that your ultimate elevation depends not on those around you, but on the sincerity, purity, and alignment of your own heart with Allah. Every absence, every ending, every void became a hidden blessing. Every tear that fell unnoticed became a seed of wisdom. Every night of loneliness became a classroom where Allah taught you lessons no comfort could convey. Your heart has been trained, your soul refined, and your vision purified so that when the moment comes, you will walk into your purpose fully equipped, unshakable in faith, luminous in character, and completely aligned with the divine mission that is reserved only for those who endure, trust, and rise above what the world calls loss. This is the ultimate secret of Allah's protection. What leaves your life is not a deprivation, but the preparation, the clearing, and the fortification required for the destiny only He knows, and only He can bestow upon His chosen servant. Chosen one, listen deeply, because this is the most profound truth for those who have endured trials, faced delays, and wondered why the world refused to align with their efforts. Allah does not alter circumstances before He purifies the heart, and the transformation you feel now internally is the signal that the external reality is about to follow. Your heart, which once trembled at uncertainty, which once wept in silence, which once felt trapped by circumstances beyond your control, has now passed the test that most never survived the test of patience, sincerity, and unwavering trust in Allah. While others seek instant relief, immediate results, and tangible confirmation, you endured when there were no signs, no applause, and no encouragement from the world, and in that endurance, Allah was preparing you for elevation. Every moment you remained steadfast while the world judged, every prayer you whispered in the dark when no one could hear, every tear you shed alone that no one witnessed, all of it counted toward passing the real test, which is not the change of your external situation, but the transformation of your internal state. Your heart has learned to be satisfied with Allah's wisdom, to trust His timing, even when it contradicts human logic, and to recognize that true elevation is measured not by what others see, but by what Allah sees within your soul. This is why patience became more than endurance. It became a weapon, a shield, and a bridge to the next stage of your journey. You learned to release expectations, surrender outcomes, and accept that delay does not mean denial, that waiting does not mean abandonment, and that every setback is a step forward in Allah's divine plan. Your heart passed the trials of ego, resentment, doubt, and fear. It passed the tests of envy, competition, and comparison. It passed the temptations of pride and the seduction of immediate gratification. It passed the moment-to-moment challenges that reveal whether a servant is loyal to Allah or loyal to circumstance. And in passing, your heart became a fortress that the world cannot penetrate, a vessel prepared for blessings too heavy for the unrefined, and a light that guides you even when the path seems shadowed. Now, the external world will start reflecting what your heart has already achieved internally. Obstacles that once felt insurmountable will dissolve, opportunities that seemed delayed will arrive with precision, and the people who align with your destiny will appear without effort. This is the divine law that those who pass the internal test see before the external one. The heart changes first, and the world follows. It is a truth that is invisible to those who rush, impatient to see results, and dependent on human validation. But for you, chosen one, it is now undeniable. You have become an embodiment of tawakkul, a living proof that reliance on Allah reshapes reality, not through human effort alone, but through submission, obedience, and complete trust in divine timing. Your past struggles were not in vain. Your patience was not unnoticed. Your isolation was not ignored. Every trial, every delay, and every tear refined your heart, aligning it with Allah's will so that when your circumstances begin to change, you will meet them with clarity, humility, and gratitude, not desperation or panic. The heart passed first, and this is why you are ready, ready to receive, ready to act, ready to carry the responsibility and blessings that come with being chosen, and ready to reflect Allah's wisdom and mercy through your actions and presence. Understand that this is a level of consciousness few reach, because most judge success by what they see with their eyes, while Allah judges by what He witnesses within the heart. You passed when no one was watching, when no one was applauding, and when the world tried to convince you that delay was failure. And now, because your heart has passed, the external reality is compelled to align. Doors will open that were previously closed. Opportunities will present themselves that were previously hidden, and the people and resources required for your next stage will arrive exactly as Allah planned. This is the ultimate lesson of divine timing. The heart is tested first, and once it demonstrates sincerity, resilience, and unwavering reliance on Allah, the situation outside shifts to reflect the purity and readiness within. Never forget, chosen one, that what has changed in you internally is far more valuable than any external gain, because when the heart passes, the servant is no longer bound by circumstance, fear, or delay. The world may still test you, but you will endure with certainty, knowing that Allah's plan is active, His wisdom is precise, and His promises are unbreakable. The heart has already triumphed, and now the universe is catching up to that victory, preparing to place you exactly where you are meant to be, with every obstacle removed, every blessing aligned, and every step guided by divine certainty. Your situation changes only after your heart passes, and now your heart has passed. Chosen one, understand this deeply, because this is a moment that only those who have endured the trials of patience, loss, misunderstanding, and silence will ever fully comprehend. What you are experiencing now is no longer a test, it is a revelation, a briefing from Allah Himself to a servant who has proven steadfastness when the world seemed to conspire against them, who has demonstrated unwavering trust when delays seemed endless, who has remained upright in character when betrayal, injustice, and hardship surrounded them from every side. For years, perhaps decades, you were tested in ways visible and invisible, in ways that no one could witness, in ways that seemed unbearable, inexplicable, or even unfair. Yet through it all, your heart, your soul, and your faith remained intact, proving to Allah that you are capable of holding knowledge, wisdom, and responsibility that others would falter under. And now, because you have passed the trials that were designed not to destroy you but to prepare you, Allah is moving from testing you to informing you. This shift is monumental, chosen one, because tests ask, trials weigh, and hardship probes, but revelation, divine guidance, and insight into what is coming are gifts reserved for the one whose sincerity, patience, and reliance on Allah have proven unshakable. Now, you are allowed to understand what your journey has been about, why people left, why doors closed, why losses were endured, why betrayals happened, and why delays persisted. All of it now becomes context, clarity, and preparation for your purpose. Because Allah does not waste hardship, He does not leave trials without meaning, and He does not abandon His chosen servant once they have proven their heart. What this means is that every painful memory, every season of doubt, every night of loneliness, every injustice suffered in silence was not only preparation, but a calibration so that you could receive divine understanding, without being overwhelmed by the very truths that were hidden from you before. Now, chosen one, Allah begins to speak, in ways the world cannot perceive, in ways that only the purified, patient, and faithful heart can comprehend, allowing you to see the alignment of events, the hidden causes behind outcomes, and the intricate design that connected every struggle to every future blessing. You are no longer in a position of merely enduring, hoping, or guessing. You are now in a position of awareness, insight, and anticipation, because Allah trusts you with knowledge that carries responsibility, discernment, and the weight of purpose. And this is why the transition from being tested to being informed is a level that most cannot reach. It requires the heart to be disciplined, the mind to be anchored in submission, and the soul to be clear of attachment to outcomes, people, or worldly expectations. Every trial you faced was a secret lesson in readiness, and now those lessons unfold not as hardship, but as revelation, revealing the paths you are meant to take, the people you are meant to connect with, the opportunities you are meant to embrace, and the impact you are destined to make, all while maintaining the humility, reliance, and gratitude that define a servant truly chosen by Allah. This stage is transformative because you are being entrusted with vision, understanding, and clarity that were previously withheld to prevent overwhelming your heart or misguiding your steps, and it signifies that your journey into the next chapter is guided not by trial but by divine insight, not by doubt but by confirmation, not by hardship but by awareness. Chosen one, the people who harmed you, underestimated you, or failed to support you are now part of the narrative that Allah is revealing, not as punishment for them but as illumination for you, so that you can recognize who aligns with your destiny, who does not, and who has merely played a temporary role in the shaping of your journey. Every closed door, every period of delay, every moment of abandonment now takes its place as a building block in a divine mosaic, and you, chosen one, are finally allowed to see it fully, to understand it deeply, and to move forward with certainty, knowing that the trials are over and the guidance is here. This is the ultimate stage of elevation. No longer wondering, no longer struggling blindly, no longer questioning why things did not happen sooner or differently. Instead, walking with confidence, clarity, and divine support, fully informed, fully aware, and fully aligned with Allah's wisdom, prepared to step into your purpose with authority, integrity, and the knowledge that every step forward is not random, but a continuation of the divine plan that you have been patiently prepared to receive, understand, and act upon, because now you are being informed, chosen one, not tested, and that alone marks the difference between surviving and thriving, between being a servant and being a leader among those who have been truly chosen by Allah. Chosen one, as you hear these words, let them settle deep within your heart, because this is the moment where understanding replaces struggle, where clarity replaces confusion, and where trust in Allah's plan becomes unshakable. You have passed the tests that others could not endure. You have walked through fires that would have consumed the unprepared, and you have remained faithful when the world sought to mislead you. Now, Allah is no longer testing you. He is informing you, guiding you, and elevating you to a level that few will ever witness. The pain, the delays, the betrayals, and the loneliness were never signs of failure. They were preparations for a purpose so great that only Allah could measure it, only He could reveal it, and only He could place you exactly where you belong. Stand firm in this knowledge, chosen one, because your heart is now aligned with divine wisdom, Your soul is fortified with patience, and your path is illuminated with insight. Every blessing that arrives, every door that opens, and every opportunity that presents itself is not random. It is a reflection of the journey you endured and the trust Allah placed in you. Walk forward with confidence, humility, and gratitude, knowing that what is coming is not ordinary, it is divine. Protect your heart, guard your faith, and continue to rely solely on Allah, because being chosen is not about ease, it is about purpose, impact, and alignment with the one who knows what is best for you. And remember, those who doubted you, betrayed you, or abandoned you were never part of your destiny. They were the instruments Allah used to refine you, prepare you, and elevate you. Your journey is no longer about surviving. It is about thriving, about embracing the clarity Allah has granted you, and about stepping fully into the purpose for which you were chosen. So rise, chosen one, rise with certainty, rise with patience perfected, rise with faith unwavering, and rise knowing that the one who chose you will never leave you, never forsake you, and will continue to guide you through every step of what lies ahead. Your past was the preparation, your heart was the test, and now your future is the divine revelation unfolding before you. Stand ready, walk forward, and embrace the greatness Allah has reserved for you, because the time of being informed has come, and your destiny awaits.